हमारे साथ इस वक्त मौजूद हैं आरबीआई के पूर्व डिप्टी गवर्नर और ब्रुकिंग्स इंडिया के रिसर्च डायरेक्टर डॉक्टर सुबीर गोकर्ण, जिनसे आप अच्छी तरह परिचित हैं। डॉक्टर गोकर्ण, स्वागत है आपका सीएनबीसी आवाज़ पर।
थैंक यू प्रदीप।
सरकार ने खास तौर पे गोल्ड का इंपोर्ट रोक करके करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट को कम करने की कोशिश की है। जून के जो डेटा हमारे पास आए हैं उसमें दिख रहा है कि गोल्ड इंपोर्ट काफ़ी हद तक काबू में आया है। तो इसका मतलब ये समझा जाए कि अब सितंबर क्वार्टर से कम हम बड़ी गिरावट देखेंगे करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट में और रुपया इन्हीं लेवल के आसपास कहीं थम जाएगा।
That's a very positive sign, Pradeep, that gold imports have shrunk. The change seems very dramatic, so I think we have got to be a little cautious in treating the problem as having disappeared or finished. Let's wait for a couple of months and see whether this trend persists. The risk is, and I think that's a cause of some concern, that the taxes, the customs duties that have been imposed on gold may be pushing gold into informal channels. So the actual import is the same, and we are only seeing the official channel imports go down. So I think we have to again look closely at the situation to see what is happening. But if gold imports are going down, then that is clearly a very positive development from the current account deficit viewpoint. But there are other drivers as well. Iron ore exports, and that's another bit of positive news, that we are seeing some resumption of iron ore exports in iron ore production in Karnataka, which will add to exports, not back to earlier levels, but at least the process seems to be getting underway. We have to address coal imports. We have to look at manufacturing. We had some announcements from the Prime Minister's office about raising textile exports by 30%. I have not looked at the detailed plans for this, but those are the kinds of things that need to be done. And as these plans become more holistic, more complete, and more credible, then I think the signal will be that the current account deficit will be brought under control, and I think that's the point at which the pressure starts to ease a little bit.
तो इस हिसाब से आपको लगता है कि रुपए में हमने जितनी गिरावट देखनी थी करीब देख ली है, या अभी भी यहाँ से 5% या उससे ज़्यादा की गिरावट मुमकिन है?
It's impossible to forecast currency movements, and I wouldn't want to do that. But I think we have to understand the combination of factors that are contributing to this. If the domestic news is negative, then obviously there is pressure, downward pressure on the rupee. Capital flows are something that we should not expect to revive very strongly, because the whole trigger to this decline was the announcement by the US Fed that they were now starting to think about tapering or rolling back on their quantitative easing, which was actually a source of massive liquidity in global markets. So the global markets are adjusting to this now. I think there will be some recovery of capital flows to emerging economies over the next few months as investors reassess their portfolios and start to look for higher returns. But which countries benefit from those flows, I think, is at this point uncertain. The more the government does to persuade investors that they are gaining control over the investment climate, doing things that will facilitate investment, the more likely that as these capital flows resume, that India will benefit from them. So I think that has to be the focus of policy from now on. We can't afford to miss this opportunity to start to attract those capital flows as they get reallocated.
लेकिन जैसे कि हमने देखा पिछले कुछ महीनों से लगातार अब आरबीआई की तरफ से ये कहा जा रहा है कि रुपए की गिरावट की वजह से रेट घटाने की उनकी क्षमता थोड़ी कम हो गई है। 5% के नीचे हमने WPI इन्फ्लेशन को देखा है। क्या आपको लगता है कि आने वाले महीनों में रुपए की कमज़ोरी की वजह से इन्फ्लेशन में फिर से उछाल आ सकता है, और फिर अगर ऐसा होता है तो अब क्या और आगे रेट कट्स नहीं होंगे? कितना आगे दरअसल पुश कर दिया है रेट कट को रुपए की गिरावट ने?
I really don't want to make projections or make guesses about whether rates will be cut or not. But I think the basic signal, the basic message was that as long as inflationary pressures remain in the system, it's going to be difficult to cut rates very much more, if at all. And to the extent that the sharp depreciation is going to aggravate some of those inflationary pressures, particularly as we know from energy, from oil, but also keep in mind that we are importing a lot of coal, so that price of imported coal are also feeding into the inflationary process. That is something that limits the space available for interest rate responses to sluggish growth. So I think that's the scenario within which policy will be made, within the constraints within which policy will be made.
और आपको क्या लगता है ऐसी स्थिति में जो IMF ने अपने फोरकास्ट में रिवीजन किया है और कटौती की है अगले साल के लिए 2014 और 2015 के लिए भी इनके जो ग्रोथ के अनुमान थे उसमें, तो इसका मतलब ये लगाया जाना चाहिए कि लगातार जो ग्रोथ की उम्मीद है, अनुमान है या जो ट्रेंड है वो और कमज़ोर ही होता जा रहा है, क्योंकि 3 महीने पहले का अनुमान बेटर था, 3 महीने बाद अब जो अनुमान आ रहे हैं वो कम हो रहे हैं। ऐसे में हमारे सामने फॉरेक्स की एक दिक्कत और है, RBI के लिए रेट कट करने के मौके और कम हैं, तो ग्रोथ ऐसे ही रहने वाली है या शायद और भी कमज़ोर हो जाए?
I think to an extent the IMF revisions are a global exercise. So a lot of other countries, from what I understand, have also seen some scaling down of their growth forecast. So that's an integrated global exercise and global model that they use to decide. The downward revision has not been very significant. It's from 5.8 to 5.6 or something like that. What it does suggest is that there is some baseline, some bottom that the economy seems to have hit, and at least in terms of the scenarios that they are using, that the growth will not slip significantly below this base.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका डॉक्टर गोकर्न, हमारे लिए वक्त निकालने के लिए।
Thank you, Pradeep.